It's time for the Unnamed SWTOR Podcast, a podcast so good it doesn't need a name. So without any further ado, here's your host, JD. Take it away, Johnny.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 25. That's right, I've made it to a quarter century of the Unnamed SWTOR Podcast. I'm your host, JD, aka Galactic, and in today's episode we'll be talking about the release of Galactic Starfighter. That's right, the thing you've been waiting for almost 2 years is finally live, and it's finally awesome, too. So I've got a lot to say about that, and then the thing you'll probably all hear for is to hear my 5-point plan to fix ranked PvP. Keeping in mind that cross-server queuing is not happening. So, with all that wow. I've already hit a tongue twister, and it's only about a minute into the podcast. And that is why I have Starbucks. It's too early for this. Anyway, with all that being said, let's force leap right in.
Red 2, I've got a topic coming in hot, requesting clearance to engage.
Lock S foils and attack positions. You are cleared to discuss.
So in my first topic this week, I'm going to discuss the release of Galactic Starfighter and what's been happening with the... Well, I guess it's not really the release. It's the pre-release that you got for subscribing. Subscribers also got 4 pretty awesome looking, if I do say so myself, pieces of gear, or gear sets, that is. The pilot suits. I'm definitely wearing one on my toon I created just for Galactic Starfighter. So I'm leveling up a Vanguard. And he looks pretty awesome in the test pilot suit. But that's not what you really care about. You care about Galactic Starfighter and the space combat. And the space combat, just as it was in the beta, is freaking awesome. I love it. It's a great time sink. It's a great time waster. It's a great minigame to play while you're waiting for other things. You're waiting for your ops team to get on. You're waiting for your friends to get on for PvP. You're waiting for your friends to get on for... whatever else you're doing. You're just waiting for a match in League of Legends. You just hop into a match of Galactic Starfighter. And it's fun as hell. Just as I predicted. And what really excites me, and what really made me happy, actually, is the fact that I was pleasantly surprised by how fair the cartel coin prices are for the customizations. I got on, and the first thing I did was I went into the cartel coin shop. What is it called? The Galactic whatever it is. But anyway, I jumped into the cartel coin shop, and I really wanted to get a really cool looking ship. I wanted to get one of those customizable custom ships. So I picked up the Strike Fighter, because that's what I play mostly. And then I saw that you can change the blaster color, so I picked that up. I saw you can change the engine color, so I picked that one up too. And then I saw that you could also change the paint job on the ship. Picked that up. All of that was like $7. I was like flabbergasted. I was ready to spend $20 on stuff like that. So kudos to BioWare for actually pricing things fairly. And I think that may be a sign of things to come. They could have easily gouged players on prices when it comes to Galactic Starfighter. I know plenty of people would have spent $20 just like I would have, or $50 just like I would have, on a really awesome, unique looking ship. That black-red crystal on the Republic side did not have to be $2. That could have been $5 by itself, $10 by itself. People would have paid that. But I think this is kind of BioWare making amends for that $30 mount debacle that I know a lot of people have had problems with. And we're in a time in gaming where microtransactions are becoming more and more prevalent and more scary to a lot of people. And I think this is BioWare's way of saying, hey, I know we're owned by EA, but we're not going to go full EA on you. We're going to be fair. We're going to charge money, but we're going to do it fairly. And I think going forward, that's what we can expect to see. More things in the $2 to $5 range. Maybe you get something crazy in the $10 range. But I don't know if we'll ever see a $30 mountain again. Maybe mountain. A $30 mountain again. I don't know if you can buy mountains in Star Wars The Old Republic, but $30 mountain again. Ugh, why do I keep saying mountain? A $30 mount again in Star Wars The Old Republic, which is probably a good thing. Maybe we'll see something really crazy or really cool. Maybe a capital ship, different skin capital ship for your guild will be $30, and you can pool it from your guildies. But I don't think we'll ever see anything as crazy as we did it's awesome that BioWare is willing to price according to the market and price according to what's fair. You know, like I said, I mean, they're not even pricing to the market, because people would definitely pay more than what they are asking for them to pay for this Galactic Starfighter stuff. So that's awesome. I know a lot of people are upset that there's nothing craftable in Galactic Starfighter. So if you are, say, a cyber tech, or you're an arms tech, or I don't know, whatever else you think should be used to craft starship parts, you cannot do that. There's nothing you can do for that, but I honestly don't see that as a problem. I honestly think that crafting systems in MMOs at this point are dead. I've never seen a good crafting system, an in-depth crafting system, an interesting crafting system in any MMO ever. I mean, you can try and give me examples of what you think, but I think that crafting in a single-player game actually makes sense, and the whole point of crafting is that it's based on scarcity. Scarcity of resources causes interesting crafting systems. You know, you want to craft what you can with limited resources, and if you want to craft something awesome, you have to find better and better resources to craft that. When you have millions and millions of people, you know, hammering away at something, the scarcity really is time, and people have infinite time. You realize that very quickly in MMOs, that people have a lot of time to spend in their MMO, and that they will be willing to spend that time to craft something really cool. So, the lack of crafting is not an issue to me. I don't even know what you could craft. Like, are you gonna craft requisition? Are you gonna be able to craft like XP boosts? Or the way it's set up just doesn't really lend itself to crafting. So, Galactic Starfighter, the first week, super exciting to me. There are tons of different combinations of ships that work. I know a lot of people say that the gunship is OP, but the gunship is easily killed by a good scout. A scout is easily killed by a good strike fighter, and a strike fighter is killed by a gunship. It's really an awesome rock, paper, scissors, as I've talked about in the past, model of balance. So I'm really excited to see where they go going forward. I know that they'll be releasing new maps. I think that's the most important thing for them going forward, is getting new maps and new game types, because this same map and same game type, well, it's awesome now, and it's really something exciting, because the Super Secret Space Project is finally here. You have something to be excited about, and you should be excited about that. But it could get old fast and could lose that luster really quickly. So hopefully going forward, we will see new map types, different game types, different ship types. We know the bomber's coming out, just all different crazy things. But it's also exciting to know that that huge team that was dedicated to making Galactic Starfighter a reality, they don't necessarily need that full team anymore working full-time on Galactic Starfighter. The system is in, so now they just need to iterate on the system. And iteration takes a lot less than creation. So, and those developers can be used in other areas. They can, you know, be more fluid. So it's almost like they hired a couple new people. I mean, that's just what I see out of it. Maybe they will keep that full team working on Galactic Starfighter, and if it is, we should expect more out of Galactic Starfighter more quickly. New maps, new game types, etc. But I'm excited to see where it goes. Galactic Starfighter definitely gets a big old thumbs up from me. I'll be playing that for a while in my Strike Fighter. If you want to play against me, my alt is Argus Kos, AGRUS apostrophe KOS. So if you see me in a Galactic Starfighter match on Prophecy of the 5, that's me, and I will be kicking your butt. So watch out for my Strike Fighters. Anyway, so that's all I really have to say about the release of Galactic Starfighter. I think it's pretty universal that Galactic Starfighter is awesome, and people really like it. I have seen very little negativity surrounding Galactic Starfighter. I've seen a lot of, you know, malaise or people that don't really care about it, so a lot of indifference, but I have not really seen any negativity. I mean, maybe it's out there. I'm sure it's out there. Negativity on the internet is, you know, a dime a dozen, but I really haven't seen any constructive reasons to dislike Galactic Starfighter. It's freaking awesome, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. So, with that being said, the reason that I'm sure you all are here is to see what I have to say about my 5-point plan to save Ranked. Yes, I'm the savior of Ranked. I'm saying that right now. And I will be back after the break, and during your break, you can listen to... Let's see, what do I feel like putting on? I will put on... Let's see, At the Drive-In, One Arm Scissor. I love the song. I'm really having a throwback kind of week here with some nice early 2000s, late 90s alternative or hardcore rock. So listen to At the Drive-In, One Arm Scissor, enjoy that, and I will be back in a couple minutes while I enjoy my latte.
Music is only available during the live broadcast of the show due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to join me for a live recording, be sure to follow @GT on Twitter for announcements of recording times and dates.
Alrighty, this is what you've all been waiting for. My 5-point plan to fix ranked PvP in Star Wars The Old Republic. And this is in no particular order. And keeping in mind that cross-server queuing is not happening. No matter how much you yell and scream and whine and complain, it's just not going to happen. We know it's not going to happen. They've said so many times it's not going to happen. They've gone back on so many things that they have said, and they're still firm on the fact that cross-server queuing is not happening. So, that is not on the list. I'm sorry for you, people who want cross-server queuing. Not happening. Off the table. I have kind of grouped this in things that I think everyone agrees with and will probably not complain to me about putting on this list. And then the final two will be things that I'm sure will be hated by the PvP community, but I honestly think they would be good for ranked PvP. So, let's get started. First and foremost, we need to fix any niggling bugs in the systems. You know, things are still bugged, and this is sad. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt when Bolster was released. I said, you know, just wait. It'll be fixed. Just don't jump off a bridge. Bolster, it will happen. Don't worry. Just, it's okay. Bolster, they know what they're doing. They just have some, you know, outstanding situations in, you know, certain places. And still, Bolster is freaking broken. I'm sorry, BioWare. I'm done. You're done. You're done getting the benefit of the doubt here. You just can't fix your bolster system. It's effed up beyond all reasonable doubt. It's foobarred. You foobarred it, and it's done. Bolster system needs to be completely revamped, and I know how you do it. Bolster, I've been saying this the whole time. What you need to do is you make all your PvP sets have a tag, PvP. Maybe they are the only sets that have expertise. And then anything that doesn't have expertise gets bolstered to 1 baseline level. That's it. Done. That's it. If you have, say, a PvE mod and a PvP mod, you get 1/3 or 1/2, depending on what piece of gear it is. If you're wearing a PvE earpiece, you get a baseline PvP earpiece for that slot. That's it. Done. Augments add a little bit. That's fine. But other than that, that's all you need to do with bolster. It's simple, and I think they need to just totally scrap what they're doing right now because it's too complicated for their own good, and they can't fix it. They can't solve the problems. You just need to change it. It's done. It's sunk costs. Stop working on it. We need a new bolster. That's it. Other bugs still exist. You know, there are relic bugs. There are leap bugs. There are all sorts of stuff that is bugged in PvP, and we need those fixed. I'm sorry, but bugs are going to piss players off, and it's been long enough. I'm done giving the benefit of the doubt on things that have existed for months, and if not years. You know, the mouse bug is still in there. I thought it was gone, and then all of a sudden I saw it the other day, and I'm hearing more and more people talk about it now. So, bugs need to be squashed. It's part and parcel to MMOs to have bugs. That's okay, but the length of time in which bugs have stayed in this game is beyond what should be expected from a normal MMO. This is, depending on what you're looking at, the second biggest MMO on the market right now in the West. I'm sure there are, you know, 15 different weird Asian MMOs, but the fact that bugs are staying in this game in the second biggest MMO in the West for as long as they are is a sad, sad statement about the game. So fix your freaking bugs, BioWare. That's it. That's it. Fix your bugs. Number 2, we need to see more rapid class changes. That's a fact. And this is I'm gonna say a quote from the Boondocks, which was making fun of a speech made by Donald Rumsfeld. It was made in the Boondocks by Samuel L. Jackson. It's a great episode. I quote it with my friends all the time. But BioWare, you've got your known knowns, you've got your known unknowns, and you've got your unknown unknowns. And I think this is what they're afraid of when making class changes. They think that their known knowns are less scary than your unknown knowns and your unknown unknowns. But in reality, there's nothing to be afraid of. There are no weapons of mass destruction here. You're not going to destroy your game by making class changes. It's really that simple. Just try things. It's okay. Make rapid class changes. Make them every 6 to 8 weeks. Make tweaks here and there. As long as you're making them rapidly and regularly, people will complain that they're getting nerfed and buffed all the time. But it's really not a big deal, and you'll end up with a better, more fluent system. You'll have the ability to change things on the fly. You nerf a Mara a little bit. See what happens. Maybe they get, more close to where you want them to be. Maybe that fixes everything. I mean, you'll never have equal balance in an MMO. That's just something that players have to accept, that balance in MMOs is a fluent thing. But it's also something that developers have to accept. There are ebbs and flows to class balance of every class and every MMO. And it's okay to change them frequently and change them often. I've heard Blizzard say, I think it was Blizzard that said that the problem with doing this is that players have to relearn their class every 6 to 8 weeks. And honestly, I don't think players have a problem with that. I don't know why developers think it's a big problem to make changes every 6 to 8 weeks. To make players, it's not like you're making sweeping changes, adding abilities, taking away abilities. Change proc numbers, change how things stack, or there are just so many different little things you can change. Just like back when they changed Singularity. All they had to do was take off one stack and see what happened. If it works, great. If it's not enough, maybe take off another stack. Maybe look at something else. Find out what the actual root of the problem is. But if you're not changing anything and you're just saying, well, I've got my known knowns and I know what my knowns are, so I'm not really afraid of those. Like, we're okay with just sitting on that. It is what it is, but at least it won't be any worse. Your known unknowns and your unknown unknowns, those can get worse and make the game really bad. But you know what? They're not as bad as you think it is. You're not going to ruin your game with a 6 to 8 week class change cycle. It's okay to do that. And I think players will be accepting of it. And I don't see a problem in a ranked season changing within the season. I know BioWare wants to see what happens in Season 1 and then make changes from there. But as long as you're changing frequently, then I don't have a problem with an in-season change. You'll have 5 or 6 different, changes within a season. I like to refer to Magic the Gathering a lot. And when you see in Magic the Gathering, within a season, well, they don't really have seasons, they kind of do, but they'll release 3 or 4 sets within a season, and that completely shifts the meta. And I think what BioWare is not accounting for is the fact that the flavor of the month, while it may not be the best, usually it shakes out to be what the end-all be-all best is. So you have your Maras now, your operative healers now. But if you're constantly shifting the meta, changing the sidelines and whatnot, then you leave the door open for varying compositions to work, even if they aren't necessarily the best, and it makes it harder to find out what the flavor of the month is. If you're changing things every 6 to 8 weeks, players don't know what the flavor of the month is, so they don't know necessarily what to play. Maybe they'll end up just sticking with last time's flavor of the month. Maybe they'll try and innovate with something new. Or maybe players will actually find out what the new flavor of the month is. But things like that, leaving it up to the players to figure things out, is where game developers should be. You don't have to hold players' hands, and you don't have to shield players from what may happen if you change something. Players will adapt, players will change, and they will figure out how to play in a game of rapid class changes, and it's okay. 6 to 8 weeks isn't even that fast. So I implore BioWare to make rapid class changes to see what happens. And number 3 on the list of things that I think all players will agree with is you need to allow free-to-players the ability to queue for ranked. I mean, honestly, I just don't get why they're not able to. And let's be honest here. To do this, you need to remove the artifact authorization. If it's still there, I saw it on the GTN. I thought a while ago they removed the stupid you can't wear purples if you're a free-to-player. I don't remember exactly, but I saw it there, so I'm going to say that you have to remove it because obviously you can't have players unable to queue for ranked in proper gear or in gear they want to actually do ranked with. But other than that, free-to-players should be allowed to queue for ranked, and let's get down to the root of this issue here, is honestly, do we really need these weird restrictions on free-to-players anymore? Really? I mean, that's probably a discussion for another episode or another time, but we know that cartel packs and customizations and cosmetic things are the meat of the cartel market. That's where players are spending a ton of money. You know, players dropping $50 or $100 on different customizations and on the cartel packs. I know a person who buys a hyper crate every time a new cartel set gets out. That's $100 or $50 something just to Bioware every time there is a new cartel pack. It's awesome for them, the amount of money that they're making from this. But I know we'll never actually see this or have Bioware confirm this, but how much are they really making from those weekly passes and things like that? The authorizations to do new or old daily areas, like the Section X dailies. I think they removed that too. And the fact that it's such a gray and weird area of what free-to-players can and can't do, it's time to reevaluate. Need more coffee, folks. Anyway, it's time to reevaluate where the free-to-play model is right now in Star Wars: The Old Republic. You know, we'll never see actual numbers of, how much is being made on X versus Y and Z, but I think it's fair to say that free-to-players and subscribers alike are spending money on making themselves look cool, making the leveling experience go faster. But content-wise, I think that players should be able to do pretty much any content they want. Because when you let players play your content, play your best content, you help the free-to-players and the subscribers alike. I want to go back to the infamous Gamasutra article that was written, I don't know, I think it was when free-to-play was first announced, which was about a year and a half ago. I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm talking about. In this infamous article, there was a lot of hate spewed towards Bioware and a lot of stupid, statements about how Bioware is trying to kill the game and how Bioware is the worst people on Earth and whatnot. But in this article, he did have a very fair and very logical point. And this is the fact that free-to-players are there to enhance the experience of subscribers in a game where you have both free-to-play and subscribers. Free-to-players should be there to make the queue times faster, to make it easier to get a group, to make it easier to get a tank, make it easier to get a healer. They should be there in order to enhance the experience of the subscriber who is paying for the free-to-player in the most of the time. Most of the time, the free-to-player is playing for free. There are some free-to-players who pay probably more than their subscription, but I'm sure most free-to-players pay nothing. So they should be there to enhance the experience of those who do pay the most. And by allowing free-to-players to queue for rank, allowing free-to-players to do an operation, to do a daily area, to do flashpoints, it makes it easier to do things as a subscriber as well, and makes subscribers more likely to pay money. Pay you money, which pays for those free-to-players. So he was right on that point, and I think this is exactly what Bioware needs to do in terms of ranked. Let the free-to-players do ranked. I'm sure a lot of hardcore ranked players out there are thinking that free-to-players are probably the worst players in the world. They're the worst people in the world, but honestly, they're just players, just like you and me. They just don't want to pay for the game. So why not let them play? Why not let them do operations? I don't see why they're limited anymore. I understand when the game launched, when free-to-play first launched, you had to... The cartel market really wasn't what it is now. There was maybe 4 or 5 pages of stuff in the cartel market, and Bioware needed places to make money. So in order to do that, they piecemealed their content. You have to buy each weekly operations pass. You have to buy each daily area, because there wasn't that much to buy. So if they weren't buying that, what else were they buying? So I honestly think that it's time to reevaluate the system. It's been almost a year, like I said, so Bioware, you should think about that. Remove the weekly passes, remove the restrictions on ranked. And if you really want to do the whole flashpoint thing where after a certain number you don't get any rewards, but honestly I don't even think you need to do that. I think players are buying cosmetics, they're not buying passes. And tell me if I'm wrong. I know Bioware, feel free to reach out to me if you think I'm wrong. I have reached out to you about maybe an interview for the 2-year anniversary of the game. Fingers crossed, I'd love to talk to someone. But anyway, So that's the stuff I know everyone will like. Getting a little parched, so we're going to take a break here, and we are going to come back and talk about the 2 things that I think players may have a problem with. So I will discuss that in a moment. Alrighty. I couldn't find my Unnamed SWTOR Podcast shirt, so I hope you guys enjoy my Yoshi shirt today. Sorry that I'm not wearing my branded shirt, but I thought that would be okay. So, this is the stuff that people may not necessarily like, and I showed you my shirt because everyone likes Yoshi, so if you don't like this, just think of Yoshi, because he's awesome. So, I'm going to start with the lesser of the next 2, and this is going to be 4A, that they need to announce the end of season rewards. That's something that I know a lot of players have asked for. They need to add rewards for reaching certain rankings and levels, so you have titles like High Warlord and things like that. So, everyone wants that, right? Well, this is the thing that I think some people might have a problem with, and I think you need to remove the comm rewards from ranked. So, before you get your pitchforks out, hear me out here. They need to announce what players are working towards. And I think ranked, as I've discussed previously, should be a place where players go to vie for supremacy, to try and get on top of the leaderboards, to try and get the awesome, unique, and different rewards that players won't have in the future, and players who aren't good enough to attain certain rankings or levels will never be able to achieve. Now, I think right now, ranked is the place where players go to farm rank comms. I know plenty of players who just go into ranked because they've got their full set of Conqueror gear, and they're just trying to get partisan. And the fastest way to get rank comms is to just go into your arenas at a time where queues are popping, and just burn right through those, because you can get through an arena. If you're going to lose, you can get through it in, a couple minutes, 5 minutes maybe, as opposed to a regular PvP match could take upwards of 20 minutes. I've had really long Novair coasts happen, or really long civil wars happen. So I think they need to make it the place where players go for achievement and not necessarily for comms. Comms should be attained in your regular PvP, and you take those comms and that gear into your ranked where you try and vie against other players. So I think removing the rank comms would disincentivize the players from doing ranked just for the gear. And now you may be saying, well, you're disincentivizing ranked, i.e. less players will do it. Well, calm down, I'll get to that in a second. But I really think that removing the comms would be a good thing. Now, for the rewards, the things that everyone would like, they should add end of season rewards. They need to tell us what they are so players know exactly what they're working towards and if it's really worth it. I think it should be something awesome so that it is really worth it to really get players going. But I also think they need to add rewards for reaching certain ranking levels. So have things that as you reach, 1300, 1400 ELO, 1500 ELO, they should get to a certain title, like the Warlord, High Warlord, stuff like that. But this goes back to the bug thing. They need to fix the bugs where players are getting incredibly inflated rankings from... I don't even know how they do it. I don't understand the mechanics of the ranking bug, but they need to get that fixed so that they can do cool things like that. And I think players would appreciate that they are being rewarded for getting to certain rankings. Now, they also need to add an ELO decay. I honestly don't know if anyone knows if there is an ELO decay for not playing for a long time. I don't know if the system's been out long enough to figure that out. but they need to make sure that that's in there so they can do that also. But my 5B on this is they also need to add weekly rewards. Now, take out the weekly... you already can't complete the weekly and daily quests in Ranked, but I think they should have specific weekly and daily quests. Let's just say weekly quests for now. For Ranked PvP. Now, these would not reward comms or anything like that. But if you added weekly quests and gave small rewards for maintaining, X rank with a minimum number of matches in a week, or the top X players of a week immediately qualify for a season-ending tournament, or something cool like that, I think that would really work well. So, say you had a weekly quest that said, alright, get to 1300 ELO, or maintain 1300 ELO with a minimum of 10 matches in a week. And then for that, you give a reward that, gives you a title or something cool, or I don't even know what they can give, but something that says, yes, you achieved something for the week. And it could be the same thing every week, you wouldn't necessarily have to change it up constantly, be changing the reward for it, but just something cool. Even if it was, imagine if it was cartel coins. If in a week you achieved 13 or 1400 ELO, and you maintained it for a week, you got 100 cartel coins. That would be cool, wouldn't it? I would definitely try Ranked if it meant that I can get cartel coins if I reached a certain rank and that rank was attainable. And then, like I said, you could also have the top X players immediately qualify for a tournament at the end of the season that would cause players to fight for something awesome like, 10,000 cartel coins, 50,000 cartel coins for the top team or the top 4 players or whatever it is. I think that would be really cool too. And I think players would respond to that, and players would do that. Players love getting their cartel coins in-game. I know players that do achievements that hate achievements just because they want to get their cartel coins. So I think that would be a good way to incentivize doing a PvP on a weekly basis. Because I know a lot of people that are like, I'm 20 billion ranking, or I'm 1500 ranking, and I don't really feel like doing it anymore. I don't really have a reason to do it. On a day-to-day basis, there really isn't a reason for me to do it. So, excuse me, I have the hiccups. But, so why should I continue doing it? And this would be a reason for them to do it. And a reason for players to get into Ranked. And finally, this is probably the one I will get the most hate mail about, but I think that BioWare needs to make limited time windows for queuing for Ranked. One of players' biggest complaints, concerns, problems with the Ranked system is the fact that queues just don't pop, especially at certain times and in certain circumstances. So I think the best solution for the game is to allow players to queue for Ranked only during certain times. Say 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. on weeknights and all day on Saturday, Sunday. Maybe make some slight considerations or modifications for certain scenarios. We know there are Euros playing on the East Coast. We know there are Aussies playing on the West Coast. So maybe you expand that window in certain time periods at certain days. But I honestly think the best thing to do is to remove the fact that players expect to be able to get a queue for anything at any time. That's just a fact for players. Players expect to be able to get into a game and be able to queue for something at any time. That's just how players expect things. If you play League of Legends, say, you expect to go into League of Legends at any time of day and be able to jump into a game of League of Legends. And at any time during the day, you can get a game of League of Legends within 5 minutes. I would say I've never waited. I have waited, but on average, my wait time for a League of Legends match is probably 2 to 5 minutes. So probably even less than that. Maybe 2 minutes would be the average. And I think players expect that from any game. You jump into Battlefield, you're able to get a game of Battlefield going within 2 to 5 minutes. That's just never going to happen in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Just think about it. You have, at best, 2 million people playing this game right now. That's from all different sources. You've had them say things at community cantinas and the like. So, say, best case, we have 2 million active players in the game. Of those players, maybe half care about League of Legends. About half care about PvP. Maybe half of those care about ranked PvP. So you're down to 500,000 players spread over. I think there are say 9 servers? Is that right? 9 servers? I don't know. But you spread those over 9 servers. We've talked about no crossover queuing. So say you've chopped it down to another, 50,000. And those players spread over all different times. So expecting to jump into the game and get a rank queue at any time is a problem. So BioWare should come up with the solution of having ranked queue periods. And these are times when all your ranked players get in there, and it's the only time you can do ranked. I don't really see a problem with this in the fact that a lot of other things are sort of limited like this. If you're doing an ops group, most ops groups run Tuesday nights from say 5 to midnight. Somewhere in that time, usually Tuesday nights is a big raid night for people. There are some other people scrambled around in other time periods, other time zones, things like that, doing it different days, but that's a prime time for raiding. And I think you can make that a prime time for PvP also. And you will cause some people to be unable to do ranked PvP. But in the long run, you're hurting a few people for the masses, because most people can get on from 5 to 1 a.m. on weeknights, and you do have the weekends where you have all-day queuing. So I think that this is a for the greater good solution. You cause players to realize that you can't queue at any time for ranked. You just get in there and you do your ranked from the time set. That's when you really concentrate the ranked pools. You get faster queue times. You get pretty much guaranteed ranked queue times if you're getting everyone in at the same time. So I really think this is a good solution. Whether players like it or not, whether it affects you, maybe it'll cause you to not be able to do ranked. But ranked, just like operations, causes you to have some time flexibility. You need to schedule around the game. And I know a lot of players don't want to do that, but ranked is for the hardcore. Your night remote operations are for the hardcore. You need to adjust your schedule to do ranked. And I'm sorry if you don't like that, but that's just how I see it. How I see it working best, and how I think it should be. So limit the times for ranked queues, and I think we'll end up with a better, more positive experience for most players. So let's go down the list again. Fix any niggling bugs, more rapid queue class changes, allow free players to queue for ranked, weekly rewards, remove comms from ranked, announce the end of season rewards, and have rewards for reaching certain rankings, and limit the time windows for your ability to queue for ranked. So that's what I think. Feel free to let me know what you think. I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of opinions on this, PvPers and non-PvPers alike. So, you can always contact me at galactic.crr@gmail.com, or you can tweet me at GT. So I have a wall of crazy topic already chosen from Twitter, and I realize I have not written down who suggested it, so I'm going to go search for that while you guys listen to Coheed and Cambria Delirium Trigger, because I know we've triggered a lot of your Monstars. Enjoy.
What? That's impossible even for a computer. It's not impossible. I used to bullseye womp rats in my T16 back home. They're not much bigger than 2 meters.
Alright, before I go into my wall of crazy topic, I wanted to just discuss something funny. This morning, game trailers. Yes, I frequent game trailers. I don't know why. Probably because I'm a masochist and I have no self-respect, but I was on game trailers this week, and, they had a top 10 cliffhangers in gaming. Because sometimes they release really bad top 10s. But I watched them anyway, because for some reason people love top 10s. I think people like lists and numbers and math problems, and that's why there are so many top 10 lists or top 5 lists or whatever out there. But top 10 cliffhangers in gaming, they discussed how Knights of the Old Republic 2 is the furthest we've gone into the Old Republic timeline, because the Old Republic is obviously a prequel to Knights of the Old Republic. Yeah, so just thought that was funny, wanted to bring it up. Anyway, let's go into the Wall of Crazy. This week's Wall of Crazy topic was suggested by Marek at Watchman Marek on Twitter. And this is something that I've really wanted for a long time, as someone who played the hybrid gunslinger tree for a while now. I've actually started playing the full-on dirty fighting tree, which is interesting. I've been able to get some good numbers in certain fights. Anytime I'm able to multi-dot, you know, my numbers are pretty commensurate with the other players in our group. But improved buff and debuff tracking is an absolute freaking must for the game. We need to see it, and this is something that we've been talking about for a long time, ever since the Community Cantina, when UI customization was first announced and first shown to the masses. BioWare has known that we want improved buff and debuff tracking. And, you know, they added the ability to resize buffs and debuffs, but there is still no way to tell what's mine and what is someone else's. So if I am playing Hybrid Gunslinger, and you're playing Hybrid Gunslinger, and someone is playing Watchman Sentinel, and then someone else is playing... Well, I think that's it. But they have so many overlapping dots and dot images that it's impossible to tell what's yours and what's someone else's. The only way you can properly play your class is just to know your rotation back and forth. But there are times when you really need to see which dot is yours and which dot is someone else's. So, big problem here. I wish they could somehow mess with the system. What they could do is... I know in the Dirty Fighting tree, there is the Nice Try buff, where if a dot is taken off or a dot ticks off, you get a weaker version of the dot, and the dot looks gray, so you can clearly tell the dot is different. If they could do that for everyone else's dots but yours, I think that would be really nice. Also, it's impossible to tell what's cleansable and what's not. They have no differentiation. I wish they could also do the same thing, you know, have a gray debuff for cleansable, non-cleansable stuff, and have it be bright and vibrant for if it's cleansable. So, I wish they could do that. Also, if they can have some uniformity with what's tech, what's force, what's just basic damage, that would be really nice. And I wish they could do that. Also, I wish they had an accurate timer on your debuffs. So, say the last 5 seconds of a dot that's yours, it ticks down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the dot, so you knew when you had to reapply, how much time was left, etc., etc. I think accurate debuff tracking and buff tracking is a big issue, and something that could be relatively easily. I know anytime I say something is easily, I'm gonna get flack from people saying, well, nothing is easy ever. So that's what I think about the buff and debuff tracking. And I think that'll do it for today's live show. Listeners, if you'd like to email me next week and tell me what you think about ranked and what is your 5-point plan to fix the ranked system, you know, you can always reach me at galactic.crr@gmail.com, or you can tweet me at gteague. Also, the class rep system is coming back, and I for one am very happy about it. If you are or know one of the class reps, please just let them know. I'm more than happy to have them talk on this show and discuss the platform for what they think needs to be changed on their class, what they think needs to be buffed and nerfed. I'm sure they'll have a lot more buffs than nerfs in their pocket, but I'd love to talk to them. They're more than welcome to come on the show anytime they want. Just let me know. Just have them send me an email. So, as always, if you'd like to contact me, you can send your questions, comments, and concerns to galactic.crr@gmail.com or tweet them at gteague on Twitter, as I said before. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes to get weekly podcast updates, and, you know, feel free to leave me a comment on iTunes. A lot of times they're pretty hilariously bad, so if you want to leave me a funny bad comment or a good comment, everything is welcome. If you're new to the game or thinking of resubscribing, I provided my refer a friend link in the show notes, so if you'd like a little added incentive to come back, feel free to use it. You can also check out my website, gadgetgaming.com. This week I'm going to be doing some videos non-SWTOR related, actually. I'm going to be talking about Hex, the card game, the online collectible card game. I'm in the alpha. It's a Kickstarter game, and it's really awesome. I like it a lot, and it has a lot of potential. So if you're a fan of MMOs and a fan of TCGs, I think Hex will be right up your alley. So keep checking out my website for videos on that. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Unnamed SWTOR Podcast. This is JD, signing out.